Hello, this is Good Both Diancies, and this is new draft I joined called the MLD, a league in which my team name is constantly misspelled due to autocorrect. That's okay. I think I have a pretty powerful draft, and so my job here is to explain to everyone why my team is objectively the best, and that everyone should forfeit against me. Just kidding. Whatever. This is the joke didn't go well. All right. Starting off, we have Alolan Raichu, which is pretty powerful, honestly. See, 95 special attack. It's pretty good. 110 speed is very fast. Hits 350. And with electric terrain, it has double speed due to Surge Surfer, and with the new DLC move, Rising Voltage, where is it? Oh, it's down here probably. Yeah, there it is. Rising Voltage, 70 power, but if the target is an electric terrain, well, if I have electric terrain up, it does double damage, which is approaching like hyper beam levels of power, and I get to fire that off every single turn for as long as electric terrain is up, which is very good. I get a few utility moves like Wish, Thunder Wave, Volt Switch for that sort of pivot. Get Knockoff. I don't really expect to use those moves a bit, but utility is always nice. Agility, Calm Mind are good. Nasty Plot is the big one. By doubling the special attack, like I already went over, Rising Voltage is very good. And with Nasty Plot, it's just even better. And good coverage, you got Psychic and Side Shock just for stab, but coverage-wise, you got Grass Knot and Surf to hit the ground types. Signal Beam is just good coverage either way. Focus Blast to hit like bulky steals or whatever. Stuff like Ferrothorn, Heatran, I don't know, Stack Attack, I don't know. Just fighting with coverage is always good. And then I get Extreme Speed if I want priority, which is cool. I was going to go over something. Oh, right. This league allows Z moves, and Alolan Raichu is one of my Z users. For two reasons. One, I went over all that coverage gets. Like we can run like Titanium Z Focus Blast, Bacterium Z Surf, Grassium Z Grass Knot, and as well, like as you can see here, specifically Alolan Raichu, we can use with Thunderbolt the Stoked Spark Surfer move. And that powers up to, I believe, base 170, which is stronger than most C moves. As in addition to paralyzing the target, which is very good. Paralysis has always been a good status, just to spam and been having that for free in addition to probably killing something or at least putting it out of commission for pretty much the entire game. It's very good. Sort of like cleaner, sweeper, just very hard hitter. That will go before pretty much everything. Just normally with that base 110 speed, and under electric terrain, like it will outspeed the entire metagame. Whatever mounts will throw at me, I will be able to outspeed them with Alolan Raichu. And so, with Alolan Raichu as the first pick, you can probably tell that my next pick is going to be one of two things, and that next pick is indeed Tapu Koko. So this is a very fun ability right here. Electric Surge. On the switch in, this Pokemon summons Electric Terrain. And so that thing about how Raichu outspeeds everything with Surge Surfer in their Electric Terrain, I get to do that now. Just by switching in Koko and then using either Volt Switch or U-Turn, which are moves that Koko gets. So, if my opponent would think that it's a good idea to send in their ground type against Koko to absorb the Volt Switch, I just U-Turn on them, fire off Waterium Z or Grassium Z with Raichu, and then just continue to click Rising Voltage until Electric Terrain runs out. Coco and Raichu pair very well together, but Coco's great on its own. Since this is a DLC league, I get the moves like Play Rough in close combat. I know it says it's illegal there, but it is allowed. So if I want to run physical, I can definitely do that. If I want to run special still, like just like Specs or Calm Mind or whatever, I can definitely do that as well. D-Gleam's good. Not Moonblast, but D-Gleam's still good. Thunderbolt or Volt Switch, like I mentioned. And then Hidden Power is Grass, not as good coverage to hit ground types. So on and so forth. Defog is interesting. It's kind of a no-go with Coco because there was a change to how defog worked, I believe, in Gen 8, where defog would get rid of terrains, and that is bad for me because the big thing with Coco is that it summons electric terrain, and why would I want to summon electric terrain just to remove it with defog? I guess in sort of a pinch, if I really need to bring everything else, Coco can be a good, well, not a good, but like at least a semi-good defog user. Most of the time I'm going to be using it for either utility with either Roost or Taunt, for pivoting with using Volt Switch, just to like spam hard-hitting attacks, Dazzling Gleam, Play Rough, Thunderbolt, etc. And of course to get Raichu in so it can sweep under electric terrain. So Coco would be a contender for a Z user, however, Coco is a tier 1 Pokemon, and the Z users have to be either tier 2 or lower, which is a bit of a shame, but that's the way it works. Another thing that is allowed in this league is Dynomax for any Pokemon tier 3 and below, which means there are great Dynamaxers such as like Gastrodon, Mudsdale, etc. But I think I have the best one, which you're about to see, and that is Ditto. Because with Ditto, you're able to circumvent, well, I am able to circumvent that rule. Because, let's say my opponent has something, like, very strong, like, I don't know, Dragapult. Let's go with Dragapult. Very good Dynamaxer. Hits very hard, Dragon Dart, Strike a Meteor, Fan Force, Shadow Ball, coverage, whatever. My opponent decides to bring that, like, okay, actually, no, let's choose Gyarados. I remember Gyarados is another great example. Believe it's tier 2, so also not allowed to Dynamax in this league. If I copy their Gyarados, and let's say that I Dragon Dance before to try to outspeed like Coco or something, now I get to steal that boost, get that +1 seed, and then I will be able to kill the Gyarados, or just Dynamax on them. And because I'm Dynamaxing Ditto, not Gyarados, it's technically allowed. So I am essentially allowed to circumvent that Dynamax rule with Ditto, which means that I get to Dynamax all the good Pokemon, whereas my opponents are stuck Dynamaxing their less good Pokemon. Ditto is great in general, honestly, just because it means with Imposter, they cannot set up pretty much at all because they just risk me bringing Ditto, bringing it, throwing it out at their Pokemon, stealing all their boosts, and just reverse sweeping them. Like, say my opponent has a Mega Pinsir, that Mega Pinsir cannot click Swords Dance like ever if Ditto is alive, because then Ditto comes in, clicks Choice Scarf Quick Attack, then Dynamaxes, or if it can Dynamax, or just whatever, clicks Choice Scarf Quick Attack to always add speed. If they don't have Quick Attack, then I literally just get to click Return and then sweep their entire team, which is very good, just to have that sort of insurance of like, no, you can't rig setup at all. 48 basic speed is kind of bad, but it's Ditto. It's it's pretty good. My next pick would probably have been Melmetal if I didn't realize, if I did realize that Melmetal wasn't banned. But I realized that a little too late. And so I ended up with Mega Slowbro instead. Now, this is not to say that Mega Slowbro is bad. It was in the lowest tier, so I got 60 extra points, and you will get to see what the 60 extra points do. Slowbro is very good. Look at that defense stat right there. Oh, sorry. Look at that defense stat right there. Base 180. Very good. 95 HP. Wow, this thing is just going to take pretty much every hit that... Yeah, it's going to be very hard to kill, especially because it gets Slack Off, it gets Iron Defense, and Amnesia, I believe. Does it get Amnesia? Yeah, it gets Amnesia. It doesn't get like Cosmic Power or anything, but like, I don't need that. And so I can either run like Iron Defense Body Press, like there's a calm mindset, or I can just run like 3 attacks and Slack Off. So I think it's very good coverage because it's Slowbro. It gets Expanding Force, so like if I'm doing a Psychic Drain team, I can just run Expanding Force to power that up. Gets Fire coverage here, Focus Blast, Grass Knot, Ice Beam, Scald, Shadow Ball, just like really good coverage. Can run Trick Room. Like my team doesn't really go with Trick Room too much. My team's pretty fast, but if I want to like reverse Trick Room or something, I can always do that. And it gets like good stats, Thunder Wave, Toxic, and Yawn, which is it's very good. I say that a lot, don't I? With Shell Armor, can't be crit. Before I Mega, we have Regenerator, so I will always be able to recover all my health. Or I could run the other ability, which is Oblivious, basically meaning I can't be taunted before I Mega. So I think Slowbro is a great pick. Value pick, to be honest, because it's in the lowest tier. And now we'll move on to my next pick, which was originally Sylveon, but I did trade it during the free agency grace period for Alolan Ninetails. And you may be asking, why Alolan Ninetails? Don't I already have a fairy type? And the answer is yes. But they fulfill very different roles. Like Coco, I already mentioned. This thing is the best Aurora Veil setter in existence. It's no longer the only one since Vanillix and Abomasnow also get Aurora Veil now. However, I think Alolan Ninetales is still the best because it's very fast, 109 base speed, and with that speed stat, like it can take a hit, especially under Aurora Veil. In addition, just having Snow Warning is good if I'm facing like a Sun team or a Rain team or a Sand team or whatever. I can just reverse the weather, say nope, you aren't doing that. And I got a decent amount of coverage. Dark Pulse, like Hex, Hidden Powers. Freeze Dry is great because I can hit water types. Blizzard is great because with the Snow Warning, it doesn't check the accuracy. Gets Moonblast, which is great. And of course, Psyshock. It does not get Psychic, but it does get Psyshock. Which I think is interesting. But yeah, also Weather Ball. But I'm probably not going to be running Weather Ball when Blizzard exists. I mean, the main role of this thing is either to set Aurora Veil, utility with like Encore or Substitute or whatever, or as a nasty plot sweeper with like Blizzard, Moonblast, Freeze Dry, Psyshock, whatever I want to run at that point. Or I could just even go physical Tail Slap. But that's probably not going to happen. Unless, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. But it might, I'm not saying that it's never going to happen, I'm just saying it probably won't. My next pick is showcasing what those 60 extra points are doing, because it allowed me to trade Duraludon for Zygarde. Power Construct is banned. At least I believe it's banned. That doesn't mean Zygarde's bad. No. With these base stats, with that bulk, it can take a lot of non-ice hits. If you throw snow at it, it's probably going to die. But if you don't throw snow at it, it's not going to die easily. It gets Rest and Pain Split to recover its HP. It also has pretty good amount of like just utility moves. There's Haze, there's Glare, Substitute, and such. But the best moves are most likely going to be 1,000 Arrows, because you can just spam it flying types, doesn't care about flying types. And as you'll see, like, my team actually is kind of weak to Gyarados, so I'm really glad that I was able to pick it up. Outrage is good for dragon coverage. Extreme Speed is probably the best priority move in the game that isn't Protect. And then Coil and Dragon Dance to set up. So you can run like Sub Coil, Sub Dragon Dance, spam 1,000 arrows, just run Banded or Lumberry or whatever. Hits very hard, can take hits, sets up, does a lot of utility things, Glare, Toxic, etc., etc., etc. Sledge Wave is a cool move. And it's just, Jagger is a great pick, and it's by dragging in my FDS score. You will see what the steal is later. But it's a good one, I'll promise you that. But speaking of cores, moving on to the water, fire, grass core, I moved on with Slowbro. Our fire is Moltres, which is interesting. Moltres was not as good last gen, to say the least, because this didn't introduce the item Heavy Duty Boots. So now it can ignore the 4 times stealth weakness it had from fire and flying, and just actually be a semi-competent defogger. Because like if the boots get knocked off, like, no, it's bad news. But if they don't, then it's not going to take any damage from Stealth Rocks, and it can just remove them. Engine Power is pretty cool coverage. Like, I could always just run Specs or something, or I could run like Z Sunny Day since it's by the Z user, or just Z like Supersonic Sky Strike Hurricane or whatever. Although I'm not sure. I know that Sun weakens it makes Thunder 50% accurate. I'm not sure if it does that for Hurricane too. I'll probably want to check that. It gets Roost and Morning Sun, which is pretty cool. U-Turn is great for momentum, since my team actually doesn't have too much momentum, so having that is most likely going to be good. Otherwise, it has a couple of cool tools: Tailwind, Whirlwind, Will-O-Wisp, Toxic, Substitute, like, can function as a wall and a cool offensive attacker with, I believe, a base 125 special attack stat. It's definitely going to be throwing things hard. Like, if you get hit by a hurricane, you're not going to appreciate that from the small trays. So it can fulfill a couple different roles pretty well. Excited to use it. So, which there was another psychic. There was a psychic terrain team in this league, and they got Hawlucha. So I unfortunately can't run Kogalucha. But I think the next best thing that I can accomplish, which I did accomplish, is I got Sceptile. And so it gets Unburden, and so because of Unburden, it can function sort of like Hawlucha. If I give it an Electric Seed, then if the thing I was talking about with Coco just using U-Turn and switching into Raichu also applies to this, where now that Electric Terrain is up because of Coco, will use that Electric Seed, and now I get the +1 defense boost as well as the speed double from Unburden, and then I can use a myriad of moves. I believe I get Work Up. Like, Work Up if I want to boost my attack. Swords Dance, Dragon Dance as a DLC move. That is if I want to be like sort of a physical sweeper. If I want to just run special, I have a good amount of moves for that too. I have Dragon Pulse, Energy Ball, Giga Drain, Focus Blast, etc., etc., etc. So, Synthesis too. So it's definitely not a bad mon. Oh yeah, Acrobatics is also a pretty good pair with Electric Seed. If I don't want to run Electric Seed, I can run like Citrus Berry or something. But if I just don't want to Unburden, I can always just run like 4 attacks special, 4 attacks physical, whatever I want to do with that. Because base 105 special attack is pretty good, base 120 speed, faster than even than a Alolan Raichu, which only had 110. So it can reach, I don't actually know, I think 361, no, 372, which is like blazingly fast. So Sceptile is going to be outspeeding a lot, dealing a lot of damage. A pretty good grass type to round out the Firewater Grass core with Mega Slowbro and Moltres. And now there's a thing you may notice, which is I don't really have Stealth Rock setters. And my only like real tank is Slowbro. Like I think like Jagger and Moltres like could act, but aren't really like true good tanks. And I think my next pick sort of solves both of those problems. It's Galarian Corsola. With Eviolite, it will take hits, to say the least. With base 100 defense, base 100 special defense, like let's just go here. Like 299 times 1.5 is like what? Like around 450. Like that is nothing to scoff at. That's going to definitely sponge a ton of hits, and it gets great recovery. Strength Zap or Recover. It doesn't get Recover, never mind. Strength Zap, one of the best recovery moves in the game. Gets Stealth Rocks, gets like Whirlpool, gets Scald, gets Will-O-Wisp. It gets Iron Defense and Amnesia. And for damage, I can either use like Shadow Ball or Scald or Nightshade, whatever. Just getting consistent damage, taking every single hit, whatever happens. Galarian Corsola can probably handle it. And with Curse Body, my buttons are punished just for attacking me, because there is a 30% chance that they cannot use that move anymore, or at least for a little while. And so I can use that option to pivot into something like, let's say my opponent's using Coco, and they use Thunderbolt against me, and then Curse Body triggers, they get disabled. Now I get to go into like Moltres or something, and they can't hit me anymore because their electric move, Thunderbolt, is disabled. And now I just get to fire off like flamethrowers or fire blasts, or can set up the Z's Honey Day or whatever. Obviously, that's like an ideal situation for Curse Body triggers, like a lot. It's not something that I would want to bank on, but it's still a very good tool and something that could definitely matter in the right circumstances. Rounding out my Fairy Dragon Steel core, we have Skarmory. Which is, it's good. Some people would compare it to Corviknight. I think they're good at different roles. Like Corviknight doesn't get like Whirlwind or whatever. At least I don't think it does. It doesn't get like the hazards Skarmory does. Like Skarmory is good at just spamming like Stealth Rocks, Spikes, and stuff. It got Body Press from DLC, which is cool because it also gets Iron Defense. That's always a good like sort of pair. It gets Counter, which is good. Defog is great because like my only other hazard removal so far is Tapu Koko, which will never run Defog because it destroys the terrain, and Moltres, which is 4 times weak to rocks. So Skarmory will be a good defogger to count on in those sorts of moments. Gets Roost for recovery. Steel Beam if I want to die. Taunt and Whirlwind are pretty big options, to be honest, because with base 70 speed, I do outspeed like a lot of like a really good tanks. Like, let's see, I know it outspeeds like Ferrothorn and Toxapex. Does not outspeed Milotic, sadly, but like, honestly, Ferrothorn and Toxapex are like the big ones. Like, preventing Toxapex from using Recover, or preventing Ferrothorn from using Leech Seed, or Stealth Rock or Spikes or whatever, very good thing for me to do. And just for damage, I can run either like Body Press, Brave Bird, Iron Head, whatever. But honestly, it's just a great tank with like Toxic, Top Whirlwind, Roost, and then Hazards, obviously. And then finally, for my last pick, I chose Drapion. Drapion is interesting. It gets a lot of weird coverage moves. It gets like Brick Break, Earthquake, Bug Buzz, like what? But if I want to run like Assault Vest or something, it takes pretty much every hit good. If I don't want to run Assault Vest, I can run like Black Sledge or something. Knockoff is great utility, one of the best moves, honestly. Taunt, Toxic Spikes, Whirlwind. It's great just for filling that role. Being sort of utility support tank, if I want, it can, like I said, Toxic Spikes. It's a good hazard. Not the best, but still very good if the opponent doesn't have poison types that can absorb it. Whirlwind is good just for phasing purposes, like if I'm facing something that has like a ton of defense boost or whatever, or like something that threatens to set up sweep, I can just say, no, you aren't doing that, and click a Whirlwind, and now that plan is stopped. Or I can just spam Knockoff a ton and Poison Jab, just to mess and deal damage, and sort of cripple the opponent for one of my other mons, like Sceptile, or Jagger, or Ninetails, or Coco, or Raichu, or Ditto, to whatever, to come in and just clean up. So that, I believe, has been my draft breakdown. Yeah. I'm bad at doing matches. Alright, week 1 is coming up pretty soon, and I don't know, I'll see you then, I guess. But definitely an interesting team I'm going to face, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. Yeah, see y'all next time. This has been the Diancies.